Lunchtime Politics. First, the highlights. 2023 presidential election worst in Nigeria's recent history, says presidential candidate of the Labour Party, Mr. Peter Obi. Distribution of election materials continue across states ahead of Saturday's governorship and House of Assembly polls. Plus, political parties and last-minute campaigns to woo voters. Thanks for joining us. I'm Millicent Walker in Lagos. We kick off with the presidential candidate of the Labour Party, Mr. Peter Obi, who has described the 2023 presidential election as the worst in Nigeria's history and a setback to the democratic process. According to him, in spite of the huge amounts budgeted for the election, the exercise did not yield expectations. He said there was so much that was promised and then it went back to what it used to be. Mr. Obi, who was speaking this morning on our programme, Sunrise Daily, also berated the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, over its failure to transmit results in real time via its portal.
For me, that is very, very devastating. That a country as big as Nigeria, the giant of Africa, and supposedly a nation that should be celebrated globally, 63 years after independence, cannot conduct a simple election. Just election. That's how I feel. But for me, the struggle is on. We must reverse this situation. I'm not hurt personally. I'm not saddened personally. But I am for my country and the future. It portends for the young ones and the future generation. Because we can't go on this way. It must be a better place. We must bequeath them a better place. It is about the future of the society. We have, my generation who will say, we've lost it. But we must build a better place.
With just a day and a few hours to the state and Houses of Assembly elections, states in the northwest are gearing up with the distribution of sensitive materials to Jigawa, Kano and Sokoto states. The Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, began the distribution of sensitive materials to the local government areas in those states, with materials dispatched from the State Central Bank of Nigeria from Wednesday, the 15th of March. Take a look.
With just about 48 hours to go to the 2023 governorship and state houses of assembly elections, the Independent National Electoral Commission has begun making its final preparations. In the northwest region of the country, distribution of sensitive materials for the exercise has commenced. In Kano State, the head of operations assures residents that materials will reach all 44 local government areas and that the commission is carrying out the early distribution to ensure a seamless electoral process.
So far so good, there is no any issue. We have been distributing the ballot papers and the ECR series to all the 44 local governments in the state. All logistic arrangement has been made. We have told our electoral officers, the transport union have been briefly told that they should do the needful. Everything will be okay, inshallah.
The situation in Jigawa State is no different, as INEC is eager to ensure every part of the state is adequately prepared for Saturday's polls.
We are well prepared and we have started moving materials. The ad hoc staff movement will start very early as 10 o'clock on Friday. They will all move to the respective local governments.
Preparations in Sokoto are taking up a level, with INEC determined to ensure that not only are electoral materials available in all 23 local government areas, but that the electorate feels safe to come out and exercise their franchise.
Permanently, the security agencies will be married with them like husband and wife. So they are not going anywhere. They are to secure the INEC materials and sensitive materials. So there is no cause of alert in terms of security. Apart from the ones we are seeing here, we have already cordoned Sokoto State. So anybody who is dreaming of causing confusion in Sokoto State will be dealt with decisively, and he will face the wrath of the law.
As the excitement builds up ahead of Saturday's polls, INEC will be hoping for a hitch-free exercise.
Meanwhile, in Ekiti State, an off-cycle election state, INEC has distributed sensitive materials for the State House of Assembly election taking place on Saturday. The electoral umpire says the fact that it's just the Assembly election taking place in Ekiti State does not make the job less demanding, as it assures that the Commission has perfected arrangements to make the poll credible across all constituencies.
The processes, the procedures are clear. At the end of the voting, at the polling units, we are supposed to count the results and then declare the result at the polling unit and make sure a copy of the result is given to the political parties and also the security agency represented. And once that one is done, the result is snapped and the image is uploaded online to IREC, which is just one of our coalition channels and viewable. Yes, but during that selection, we all know there were glitches which did not allow immediate transmission of the result to IREC. But let me state clearly, there are 3 levels of coalitions. After you have received the result at the polling unit level, you go to the RA level, which is the regional area level. You can call it ward level, in which all the results from all the polling units are assembled and collated, and the parties are represented by their agents, and they are expected to verify that what was brought at the polling unit is what was entered at the RA level. So if they have any complaint, they ought to make it at that point in time. So once that one is done and the political parties sign off, you take it to the local government level. At the local government level, also all the representatives of the political parties are expected to be there. And you are supposed to confirm that what was brought from the RA level is what is properly and correctly collated at the local government level. And after that, the parties are supposed to sign off at that level, and then bring it to the state level. And at the state level, all the parties are also represented, and they are to ensure that the result brought at the local government level is properly and correctly collated.
So a bit of education there. Now to election security. The Ogun State Commissioner of Police, Frank Mba, has assured residents and other critical stakeholders of adequate security in the build-up to the governorship and House of Assembly polls, as he warns politicians and their supporters to play by the rules of the game.
However, as the lead agency for providing security during this election, we must be ready. And that's exactly what we're doing here. We want to be ready. We want to see that our men are mentally, physically, and operationally set for the elections. We are paying very special attention to INEC offices. We are providing sufficient security for both sensitive and non-sensitive materials. We are also making sure that both international and domestic observers who will be setting out to monitor the elections are also provided with adequate security. We understand the strategic roles, the very important pivotal roles that the media play when it comes to covering and monitoring elections, and so we'll also be making sure that our journalists are able to operate without any form of molestation. The politicians themselves we are working closely with them to also ensure that we provide adequate security for candidates who are standing in for the election. But most importantly, we are providing a level playing field for everyone.
Also on the subject of ensuring law and order during the elections this Saturday, the Commissioner of Police joins me now, CP Dewu Owohunwa. Welcome to the program. I'd like to begin. You came into the state as CP just days before the election, the presidential election, and you got to work. Yet that election came with quite a number of hitches. As the leading agency in election security, what would you say went wrong, and how do you ensure a better outing in Saturday's elections?
Thank you very much. Were there challenges, security issues? Were those challenges linked to the gaps within our operational plan? I would say no. The hitches that we actually recorded were results of some other fallouts of complementary issues. And I think that is the lesson I can say we've taken away from the previous elections, the presidential and the National Assembly elections. And we have effectively engaged with INEC in order to basically address those concerns that led to some tensions and security hitches that you referenced. So I can assure that moving forward to the governorship elections, lessons learned from the presidential elections have been addressed. And as I'm talking to you now, we are still holding some security meetings with the squadron commanders, the area commanders, the DPOs, and of course we've also held with stakeholders in order to present a common front towards addressing those issues that constituted concerns under the presidential exercise.
I think we heard from, an INEC rec how INEC officials and the police will be sort of like husband and wife, for the elections on Saturday. But for Lagos, are there some identified hotspots, flash areas? This is ahead of the exercise. What specific arrangement in terms of personnel deployment has been made for polling units?
Actually, you went off towards the end of your question, but
at identified hotspots in Lagos.
Yes, as part of our that's okay. As part of the broad plans that we had for the elections, of course, we did identify flashpoints, but professional standards has also taught us that we cannot put all our assets and focus on those identified areas. Security could be very fluid, unpredictable. So beyond emplacing a specific architecture to respond and to dominate those flashpoints, we also had arrangements to totally dominate the wider public space while the electoral process subsists. So we have a plan to put an eye and our boots around those flashpoints. We also have a response plan to any eventualities within those flashpoints or beyond them. And so what we are just trying to do now is to reinforce that arrangement so that it could be, drawing from the presidential experience, elections experience, we could further strengthen the security architecture and make our arrangement far more potent.
And Commissioner, just before we let you go, you recently had a sort of on-the-spot assessment with some markets in Lagos as regards, I think this was some of the allegations of attacks. What's the latest on that?
Yes, of course, following up on the unfortunate incidents at the the market you referenced. Of course, arrest was made, and we are in the process of perfecting the prosecution of the suspects in our custody in relation to that specific incident. But now we have also assessed the security requirements of other major markets across Lagos State, and following that exercise, we have deployed armed mobile policemen to all those major markets across Lagos. And aside the mobile men, we have also deployed plainclothes officers in order to complement the mobile detachments. And as a confidence building and efforts to also identify possible other gaps, security gaps that the market administration they want us to address, we have followed up with practical visits to most of those markets. We have visited Ladipo, we have visited Trade Fair, we have visited Alaba and the Computer Village. And so far, it does seem that the market people, they've restored that confidence. The only key thing here is that policing cannot be done by the Nigeria Police Force and other security agencies alone. The causes of crime, the causes of tensions may not originate from the police as an institution. The citizens have a major role to play, both in terms of being conscious of the news they consume, the news they repost, so that they will not become unwitting tools in the hands of ill-intentioned people that will instigate the fake news in order to create tension within the system. Because when this tension develops into major security breaches, it is still the same citizens that will feel the heat. So I want to appeal to Lagosians and electorates in particular to realize that they have a critical role to play in assisting the police to police them effectively and within the dictates of the civil process. So they should please, aside passing this important information to us, they should avoid instigating or propagating false news, fake news, and they should also work with us closely, knowing that our job is to protect them, but their job is to assist us to protect them. This is the only way we can present a common front in addressing the security concern, both during these upcoming elections and beyond.
So in summary, the police is still your friend. We would like to thank you, Commissioner of Police Idowu Owohunwa. Thank you for joining us on Lunchtime Politics, and all the best.
Thank you very much.
Well, still to come on the program, PDP governorship candidate in Taraba State promises security and return of all IDPs to their ancestral homes. We have that story and more when we return. Welcome back. In Rivers State, a coalition of governorship candidates are calling on the electoral umpire, INEC, not to succumb to any pressures from the ruling People's Democratic Party in the state. The call was made in Port Harcourt, the state capital, during a joint press conference put together by the governorship candidates of some opposition parties in the state.
It's a couple of days to the governorship and state houses of assembly elections in Nigeria, and some political actors in parts of the country are voicing out their concerns over the election. In Port Harcourt, the Rivers State capital, the event jointly put together by the executives of All Progressives Congress, APC, Accord Party, Action Alliance, Action Democratic Congress, and the National Rescue Movement.
The press conference is called to draw...
Here, the candidate of the APC in Saturday's race demands that the government officials should not be allowed into collation centers. He alleges a plot to rig the election.
We are reliably informed of the recent plot by the governor of the state to use the instrumentality of the LGA secretariats by the INEC as collation centers to rig and manipulate the results of the coming election.
Reacting to some of the questions raised at the event, other governorship candidates in the race say they are united in their resolve to have a free, fair and credible election. They want security agencies to play by the rules and obey INEC guidelines.
We have decided to, come together to face this common enemy. And the common enemy is those people who have several, strategies of rigging.
All we are asking for is a free, fair, and credible election for everybody. The will of the people must stand. Nobody should be given any higher chance or above any other party to challenge, maybe because they are in power.
In a phone interview with the Rivers State Commissioner for Information, he denied any plot to rig the election.
There's nothing in that allegation at all that is true. The pattern here is that each time the opposition want, foresee a loss, on the electoral talks, they begin to create these things which they return to when the losses have actually come down on them. Then they now tell you, oh, we told you that they will rig. Oh, but when you go a step further to ask them for evidence, they don't have. So this is a pattern that we already know. For the INEC people don't go around running after people, but we can tell you that our people, our members in Rivers State, don't go, not the governor, not anybody in government that goes around collation centers or any center of activity on election day at all.
As residents in the voting age warm up for the election, party supporters would want an atmosphere that will make their votes count.
Well, we have more talking about the elections on Saturday. Joining us right now is Mr. Yemi Adeoye. He's a public affairs analyst. He's joining us from Texas in the United States. Thanks for joining us. You're abroad, so a Nigerian in diaspora. Talk to us about your thoughts on the general elections thus far.
Well, very well. Thanks for having me. Actually, we think the same feeling, the same passion that we've seen across Nigeria is also what we see across the world, especially in the Nigerian communities here in the United States and across Europe from the people we've been speaking with. So it's still the same. People are, having mixed feelings about this election. But then it is important to note that this is the 7th election that we will be having since the return to civil rule in 1999. And it's not the best. And of course, it's not the worst. So we definitely we have recorded some progress, if I may say. So it's not totally bad. But of course, people are there are mixed feelings across with regards to the happenings during this last election, which of course we believe that it's the first time INEC is using the beavers. So some of us are not really expecting, 100% perfection with regards to this because it's been deployed for a national election for the first time. So, but we understand the sentiments, the emotions, and I would just want to appeal to Nigerians across board that let's give the system a chance. And hopefully we're going to get it better. We're going to get it right as we go along. It's the first time and much cannot be achieved, just with the first shot.
Well, as we head to the polls this Saturday, Nigerians have also witnessed, another factor, and that is the cash crunch, which still lingers. But one of the positives to that Naira swap policy was really how vote buying reduced. And, I think 7 or 9%, some CSOs, civil society organizations, have talked about this. And this was during the presidential election. But now we have both the old and new notes subsisting. What do you think could happen as we head to the polls this Saturday?
So that's a very funny and sensitive one. It's quite unfortunate that we had to bring up this sort of sensitive policy at such a crucial time prior to our elections. I mean, very important elections for that matter. Of course, we call it the Emefiele factor. Rather, we understand that this particular policy, is also part of the reason why we saw what looks like a voter apathy across Nigeria during the last election. Very few citizens come out to to vote in spite of the huge collection of PVCs. So yes, this is still going to be a very sad, point in our national history, because the policy was thoughtless. No matter how good, no matter how wonderful, no matter how awesome it is, the timing was extremely wrong. It was baseless at that time, because this is a cash economy. Nigeria is a cash economy, not a credit economy, where people live on cash to survive daily. So you can't expect people to go out to the bank, queue up for 5 hours just to get 2,000 naira. Then they would deploy that effort to go and vote. Everybody is angry. People are not happy. So that is the reason for the last voter apathy. And if the CBN can ramp up his action or his operations and make sure that the banks and the ATMs and it's dispensing enough funds, both the old notes and the new notes are being dispensed according to the Supreme Court judgment, then we might see an increase in voter turnout for the governorship election across the nation. But if people cannot access funds, because we must take note that since independence, it is the first time Nigerians are experiencing buying naira with naira. It's okay to be looking for fuel. Fuel scarcity, we're used to that. But naira scarcity, Nigerians have never experienced it. It's the first time. And definitely it will take its toll. It will have its effect, its very negative effect on the turnout of the election. So we hope that the CBN will ramp up its activities and ensure that the banks are dispensing, the ATMs are dispensing. Hopefully, that would encourage people to turn out on Saturday for the governorship election.
We appreciate your time. Many thanks. Yemi Adoye is a public affairs analyst joining us from the United States. Thanks again.
Thank you very much for having me.
And the People's Democratic Party's governorship candidate in Taraba State, Lieutenant Colonel Agbu Kefus, retired, says his administration will prioritize security and return all internally displaced persons to their ancestral homes through sound policies and plans if he's elected governor of the state.
As you go out on Saturday to cast your vote, I urge you to vote for free and compulsory primary and secondary education, good quality healthcare delivery, prompt payment of workers' entitlement, and improve workers' welfare. Also, industrialization, mechanized agriculture, youth and women empowerment. These are contained in my 5-finger agenda for the state. A vote for PDP on Saturday is a vote for the creation of special economic free zones.
And of course, all political campaigns end tonight at midnight. May the best man or woman win. You've been served on Lunchtime Politics. The conversation continues online on our social media platforms. Thanks for joining us. I'm Millicent Walker. Bye for now.